welcome to this yoga session here at the Nest, the theme of which is truth. So if you have a yoga mat, grab it, and I will see you in a moment. So let's start by tuning in to ourselves and the space around us. So just come to a comfortable sitting position, whether it's cross-legged or kneeling. And maybe hands kind of in your lap, maybe they come onto your knees. You can try Gyan Mudra, which is bringing the first finger and thumb together. And so your palms are facing up on your knees. And just begin to tune into the body. Maybe you'd like to close your eyes here. And just checking in here. So we're beginning to arrive in this space, allowing everything that's happened before this moment to stay there in the past. And just acknowledging maybe our to-do list for the rest of the day. And just allowing that to be parked in the future while we spend this hour on our mats today. And beginning to tune into the sensations of the body. Maybe you'd like to scan your body from the top of your head all the way down to your toes, just noticing any sensations. And if you feel a sensation, see if you can feel that sensation without judgment. So rather than labeling it as maybe an ache or a pain or a kind of negative or uncomfortable sensation, see if you can just notice it for what it is. It's just a sensation. So we're taking away our judgment of that sensation. And when you reach the toes, begin to move up the body, scanning the body for any sensations. And again, there might be sensations which you previously have considered pleasant. And I invite you to again see them as sensations rather than making a judgment of whether they're good or bad, just seeing them as the sensation. There's a philosophy in Vipassana meditation that every cell in our body should be able to feel itself. And we should be able to feel every cell in our body. It's just that we haven't taken the time to connect with our bodies in this way. So just kind of bringing the body online, connecting to every cell in the body. And from here we'll move to becoming aware of our breath. So see if you can become aware of the breath without changing the breath. This becomes much easier the more you practice. Maybe you feel a sensation of the breath moving in and out like the waves of the sea. And when you're ready, bring your attention to your mind. And when you're ready, bring your attention to your mind, noticing the quality of your thoughts. And again, see if you can notice them without judging them. So you might have thoughts which you might have considered positive or negative. Just see if you can let go of those judgments and see them for what they are. They're just thoughts. And while you maintain your awareness on your mind and your breath and your body, I'll talk a little bit about today's theme. So today's theme is truth. So we're thinking about how we can embody our truth. And our truth is inevitably different to others' truth. We all have our own truth, because we all have our own experience of the world. So it's about embodying what feels like the most truthful expression of myself. It's about having the confidence to walk my own path, maybe amid judgment or the views of other people who speak from their truth. And it's also about being honest with ourselves. So I invite you in this practice to spend some time really being honest with yourself about how each pose feels, whether you can push a little bit harder, whether it's time to back off a little bit in order to find that sweet spot. So living our truth in this session today. And bring your hands to prayer at your heart center. Take a nice big inhale, the biggest inhale you've taken all day. And as you exhale, maybe you drop your chin to your chest, maybe you bow down towards the ground. In gratitude for the opportunity to practice together today. And on your next inhale, gently coming up and opening your eyes. Okay, so we're going to practice Ujjayi breath today. Some of you may have learnt or kind of studied this breathing technique before. It can be quite challenging to start with, and it's also potentially more challenging to learn in this kind of online way where we're not able to have the benefit of being able to hear things in real life, in real time. But let's give it a try. So, Ujjayi breath it translates to victorious breath, and it's also called ocean breath, and that's because it sounds a little bit like the ocean. It's kind of got this rushing kind of sound, and the sound is made by the constriction of the trachea. And so one really good way to kind of imagine how the sound sounds is to imagine that you've kind of got a pair of sunglasses and you're trying to clean them, and it's that sound. But the challenge here is to make that sound without opening our mouth. So the whole breath, the inhale and the exhale, take place through the nose. So we're creating that sound of constricting the trachea just through the nose. So I'll just demonstrate it for you. I hope you can hear it. So it's a very deep, kind of gentle sound. And the reason why we use Ujjayi breath is firstly because it encourages us to breathe long and deep breaths. So you can't rush the breath in Ujjayi breath. It has to be long and slow and deep. And another reason why we use Ujjayi breath is because being able to hear the breath constantly reminds us to come into the present moment. So that's something that I find really helpful in my own practice, to breathe with Ujjayi breath and to be able to kind of be reminded of the kind of power of presence. And then the final reason why we use Ujjayi breath is that it allows us to breathe really deeply into the full thoracic cavity. So give it a try, and if it's really challenging for you, just keep trying, and one day you'll get it. Another way to imagine the sensation of the trachea constricting is to imagine that there's a straw in your throat and you're trying to breathe through that straw, so that constriction of the trachea. So let's give it a try and see how it feels for you. So when you're ready, maybe close your eyes and just begin to breathe with Ujjayi breath. And just complete the round that you're on. And come to a place of stillness. Listen deeply. What can you hear? Are there any messages from your mind or your body or your breath? And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. And let's warm up our joints. So we're going to come to all fours. So hands are directly below the shoulders, knees are directly below the hips, and we're untucking the toes and pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Now look down at your hands, really spread your fingers wide making space between each finger. And we're going to begin to warm up the wrists by just sending the weight round in a circle. So if this feels too intense, you can always bring the hands back a little bit so more of the weight is towards your legs. So just finding a space that feels good for you. So we want this to feel very gentle. Just moving the weight through our wrists. And be sure to push through the fingers here. So whenever we've got our hands down in yoga, it's often an idea to push through the fingers to protect the wrists. And we'll go the other way. Good. And then we're going to make this movement bigger and bigger. So we're making the circles so big that we're coming into an extended child's pose and up. Good. And maybe from here you want to reverse the movement. Good. And then come back to all fours. We're going to do a few cat-cows here. So we're going to inhale, lift the tailbone, lift the top of the head so the belly drops to the mat. And as we exhale, we reverse it. So we're tucking the tailbone under, dropping the head and pushing through the hands. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. And exhale, round. And just come back to your tabletop position, to your flat back. And we're going to extend the left hand out in front of us. If this feels good, just stay here. If you like, you can extend the right leg back behind you. So extending through the heel of the back leg. And just check in with your back, make sure you're not arching your back. So just trying to find that center. And then we'll swap. Bringing the right hand out and the left leg back. Again, make sure you're not arching, so the leg shouldn't come up too high. And we'll switch. Left arm, right leg. And right arm, left leg. Good. And when you're ready, we're just gonna kind of come up onto our feet and just gently standing up. And we'll come to the top of our mats for a couple of sun salutations. So bring your feet together, toes are touching, heels are touching. And take a nice big inhale as you float the hands up. Exhale. Folding forward, hands come onto the mat. Inhale, step the right leg back. Exhale, step the left leg back. We're coming into downward dog. Inhale here. And exhale, coming forward into plank. Drop the knees. Drop the chin and chest between the hands. Inhale. into cobra, pushing the tops of the feet into the mat. And exhale, downward dog. So your downward dog wants to look like an upside down triangle. So we're really lifting through the hips. And if you're not sure if your spine is straight, just try bending your legs, sending your hips upwards, and then maybe you can straighten your legs from there. Looking between the hands, inhale, step the right leg forward between the hands. Exhale, step the left leg forward. Inhale, floating the hands all the way up. And exhale, coming to center. We'll do the same on the other side. Inhale, float the hands up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, step the left leg back. Exhale, step the right leg back. Inhale here and exhale, plank, knees down, chin and chest down, hips stay lifted. Inhale, cobra, looking forwards. Exhale, downward dog. 5 breaths here. Looking between the hands, inhale, step the left leg forward. Exhale, step the right leg forward. Inhale, floating the hands up. And exhale to center. And just drop your hands down here. Taking a moment to notice what's going on, what's changed, what stayed the same since we began this practice. And if you've never done sun salutations before, it might sound a little bit complex or a little bit tricky. But just see how you go. And if at any point it feels like too much, just come into child's pose. On the knees, sitting back onto the heels and then bringing the forehead to the ground. When you're ready, we'll do another round. So inhale, reaching up, lifting up. Exhale, fold forwards, hands come onto the mat. Inhale, right leg back. Exhale, left leg back. Inhale here. Exhale, plank, knees down, chin and chest down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. Lifting through the hips. Begin to encourage the heels down, pushing through the hands, hugging the shoulders towards each other. Looking between the hands, inhale, step the right leg forward. Exhale, left leg forward. Inhale, float the hands up. Exhale, center. Inhale, hands float up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left leg. Exhale, right leg. Inhale here. Exhale, knees, chin and chest. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. See if you can focus on your breath. Looking between the hands, inhale, left leg. Exhale, right leg. Inhale, float the hands up. And exhale to center. And again, take a moment here to notice any change in the body, any change to the breath, any change to the mind. So you might start to feel some heat in the body. You might notice a change to your breath. Feel free to use Ujjayi breath during any yoga session. Good. And when you're ready, we're going to do a short flow. So we're going to step our left leg back. So take a nice big step. If balance is a little bit challenging, you can bring your left leg to the left side of the mat and your right leg to the right side of the mat, kind of imagining that there's a train track between your feet. And we're on the toes of the back leg and our hands are coming up. This is warrior one. So really encourage the hands to lift up. Arms should be either sides of your ears. If your shoulders are really tight or if you've got any shoulder issues, you can just bring your hands out a little bit. And from here, we're going to pivot that back foot, dropping the heel. And we're going to interlace our hands behind us. And we're going to come into humble warrior. So the forehead comes down towards the mat, towards the front of your mat. Just make sure your front knee is tracking over your front ankle. And when you're ready, we come into warrior two. So the front leg is still bent. And the hands are pulling away really actively in either direction. And again, check in with that knee, make sure it's not coming in. Good. And then we're going to straighten that front leg and we're going to windmill down into Trikonasana, triangle pose. So really encouraging that hip to kind of move upwards towards the ceiling, opening through the hip. So it's less about bringing the hand down and kind of collapsing through this hip and more about opening through that hip, opening through the shoulder. This is a twist rather than a kind of trying to get your hand to the ground. Feeling maybe a nice stretch in your hip. And when you're ready, looking back down at the mat, bend the front knee and we're going to reverse. So this is reverse warrior. Back leg is straight, front leg is bent, and the palm is facing towards you. And the chin is slightly tucked, so imagine that you're going to sniff your armpit and with the eyes only looking up at the hand. Good. And then we're going to swing over to the other side. So coming onto the toes of your right foot, bending the left leg, and the hands come up. So we're coming into warrior one on the other side. If you're now facing away from your video, just feel free to listen to my instructions. So we're in warrior one, hands are either side of the ears. And again, if you've got shoulder issues, bring the hands away from each other. And from here, we pivot that right heel down to the mat, bring our hands behind us and interlace them, and then we're folding forward into humble warrior. So the forehead kind of starts to come down towards the mat on the inside of that left knee. And the hands might lift up off the back. So encouraging the elbows to kind of move towards each other. Sending the shoulders down and back. And from here we come into warrior two. So the hands come out in either direction. Really keeping this active. Again, check your left knee. Make sure it's not coming in. You want it to be tracking over your left ankle. And I'm going to straighten the front leg and windmill the hands. So the left hand comes down, right hand comes up. And again, focus on opening through the hip and the shoulder, rather than trying to get your hand down and kind of collapsing through your shoulders. So we want our shoulders to be kind of moving in opposite directions, away from each other. Looking up at the top hand. And then we reverse into reverse warrior. Bend the front leg and sending the left hand up. Right hand comes down the leg. Left palm is facing towards you. And tucking the chin as if we're going to sniff the armpit and looking up to the hand with our eyes only. Good. And when you're ready, we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So bring your hands onto the mat, and we're just going to twist our feet so that the toes are facing towards the long edge of our mat. Again, if you're facing away from the video, feel free to turn around or just stay where you are. And so if hands come onto the mat, feel free to begin to soften into this pose. If you'd prefer to bring your hands onto your shins or your ankles or your big toes, feel free. And if your hands are on the mat, see if you can get them directly underneath your shoulders. And if that feels pretty easy, you might want to walk your hands back so that your palms of your hands are in line with your heels of your feet. So in yoga, we're trying to find this sweet spot between effort and ease. So we're kind of not just hanging out in a pose. And we're also not killing ourselves and unable to focus on the breath. So finding that sweet spot. And when you're ready, we can just heel toe the feet together. So just kind of shuffling the feet together and gently rolling up. Okay, let's do tree. So tree is one of the balancing poses. And we're really focusing on rooting in to our truth today. So maybe you pick up the toes of the left foot, spread them out, place them down, pushing through all four corners of the foot. So what we want to avoid is the ankle or kind of the weight moving to the inside of your foot. It's quite common. I kind of tend to have quite flat feet as well, and we want to try and avoid that by pushing into the outside of the foot as well as the inside. So trying to keep the foot active rather than kind of just sending our weight wherever it wants to go. Keep the foot active. And from here, we're picking up the right foot, and maybe the right foot stays on the ankle, maybe it comes onto the shin, and maybe it comes onto the inside of the thigh. So just pick a spot that feels good for you. And hands might come into prayer at your heart center or up above you. Again, if you've got shoulder issues, feel free to bring your hands out. And see if you can find a stillness here. If balance is really challenging for you today, you can always stand by a wall. Maybe you come back to your Ujjayi breath. Maybe you can begin to focus on the breath. And when you're ready, dropping your hands down, bring your knee in, and then drop the leg. You can give both legs a shake. We'll do the same on the other side. So picking up the toes of the right foot, spread them out, place them down. Again, focus on pushing through the outside edge of the foot. So we don't want the ankle to cave in. And the left foot might come onto the ankle, might come onto the shin, and it might come onto the inside of the leg. So pick a place that feels good for you. Again, being honest with yourself. And maybe hands come into prayer at the heart center, maybe they come upwards. Breathing deeply here. Lengthening the arms up. Noticing how this feels for me today. Noticing that it might feel different the next time I practice this pose. And when you're ready, hands come down, knee comes in, and they're just dropping the leg down. We'll try half moon now. Half moon can be quite challenging. And what we're going to do is, it's kind of similar to Warrior 3. So we're going to send the weight again into our right foot. And we're going to turn our hips out so that our left toes are facing towards the long edge of the mat. And then right hand comes down towards the mat. Left hand comes up. And if you feel ready to, you can bring your gaze up to the top hand. And if you fall out, just reset, sending the leg back. And when you're ready, just come out, give yourself a shake. And the same on the other side. So pushing through that left foot, and we turn the right leg out so the toes are facing the long edge of our mat. And bring the left hand down. And again, if you fall out, just feel free to come back. And again, if it's really challenging, you can come towards the wall. noticing maybe how different this side feels. Maybe you notice that this pose might feel different to a previous time you've done it. And when you're ready, just coming back. Give yourself a nice shake, and we'll come to the top of our mat. Bring your feet to hip width apart. Take a nice big inhale, and as you exhale, drop your head down, your arms down, and you can maybe grab hold of your big toes or your ankles or your shins, and just release here, allowing your head to drop down. Maybe you nod a few yeses, maybe you shake a few no's. And when you're ready, bring your hands to the mat. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. And we're just going to step the legs back and come onto our bellies. So you can either bring the forehead onto the mat and the hands, palms facing up on either side of your hips. Or you can kind of move your head to one side so you're resting on the ear. And just taking a moment here to come to maybe our Ujjayi breath. And when you're ready, we'll prepare for locust pose. So start by bringing our foreheads onto the mat. Zip up the legs, so pushing the legs towards each other. And hands can either be by your sides, palms facing down, or they can be on either sides of your head. So let's start with palms facing down on either sides of your hips first. And on our next inhale, we're going to lift up the legs and lift up the chest. So the hands stay on the mat. Really lifting up, using those back muscles which we so often neglect. Shoulders are down and back. Hold here for 3, 2, 1, and release. And bring your other ear to the mat. Coming back to that Ujjayi breath. And when you're ready, preparing again, forehead comes onto the mat, zip up the legs. And on our next inhale, we're going to lift the legs, the chest, and the arms. So the shoulders are down and back. Arms can be 45 degrees up to, I don't know, about maybe 80 degrees. Using the back muscles, squeezing the glutes. Hold here for 3, 2, 1, and then come back to lying down on your mat. Palms can face up opposite ear on the mat. Come back to your Ujjayi breath. And when you're ready, we'll come into our final locust. So forehead comes onto the mat. Zip up the legs, and option 2, keep your hands on either side of your hips or bring them above your head. And on our next inhale, we're going to lift up the legs, lift up the chest and the arms. Again, shoulders are back and down. Hold here for 3, 2, 1. Good. I'm going to push back into child's pose. So sitting on the heels, knees can come out a little bit, and then dropping the forehead onto the mat. If this is not so comfortable for you, you can bring your forehead onto a couple of blocks or books. This should feel like a resting pose. And when you're ready, just gently rolling up. Come onto your hands, cross your ankles behind you. And then we're just going to roll over our ankles and bring our legs out in front of us. So straighten the right leg, bend the left, and we're going to bring the sole of the foot kind of into our right hip. And if this is really uncomfortable, you can bring the sole of the foot onto the inside of your leg. So choose whichever option feels best for you. And we're going to take an inhale here, really lengthening through the spine. And exhale, folding forwards over that straight leg. So maybe you grab hold of your shin or your ankle, maybe the outside of that foot. And just releasing the back. Allowing each vertebra to soften. Releasing through the hamstring. And when you're ready, gently coming up. And we'll switch the legs. So the left leg lengthens, the right foot either comes to the inside of your left leg or the heel comes towards your left hip. Inhale here, lengthening the spine. And exhale, fold forwards. Maybe you grab hold of shin, ankle, outsides of the foot. Again, releasing through the back, visualizing space being made between each vertebra. Releasing through the hamstring. And when you're ready, gently roll up. And we're coming into our final pose, Shavasana. So if you have an eye pillow, grab it now. If you don't have an eye pillow, I encourage you to look into them. They're really brilliant. And so we're going to bring our feet to the outside edges of the mat. We're going to lie back onto the mat. Just unclip my microphone. So we're lying on our backs, on our mat. Now might be a good time to grab an extra layer if it's a bit chilly. And we're going to bring maybe our eye pillow onto our eyes if we've got one. And hands come, palms facing up on either side of the hips. So make some space between your body and your hands, bringing the hands away from the body. Allow the legs to allow the feet to drop out on either side of the mat. And we're spending time here in Shavasana in order to allow the benefits of this practice to sink into our bodies. Bring your awareness to your forehead, softening through the forehead, allowing any tension to be released. Bring your awareness to your eyes and your cheeks and your jaw, softening through the muscles, letting go of any tension. Find space between each tooth and allow the tongue to fall away from the roof of the mouth. Bring your awareness to your neck and your shoulders, softening, releasing any tension. Bring your attention to your arms and your hands and your fingers, softening and releasing any tension. Moving your attention down to your chest and your abdomen and your back, softening through all the muscles, softening through all the organs, and allowing any tension to disappear. Bring your awareness to your hips. Allow your pelvis to sink into the mat, softening, allowing any tension to melt away. bring your awareness to your legs and your feet and your toes, softening and letting go of any tension. Feeling your muscles just melting off the bones into the ground. And feeling every cell of your body filling up with this sense of empowerment that comes with embodying your truth. When you're ready, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Keeping your eyes closed, roll over onto your right side. And keeping your eyes closed or lowered, come up gently and slowly to a comfortable sitting position. Bring your hands into prayer at your heart center. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, maybe you drop your chin to your chest, maybe you bow forward in gratitude to yourself for prioritizing this time to connect with your body, your breath, and your mind. On your next inhale, come up, keeping your eyes closed, and rub your palms together. Place your palms over your eyes. With a few blinks, open your eyes into your palms and slowly lower your hands down. Thank you so much for practicing with me, and I hope to see you again here next time.